Right, hey guys, how are we doing? Back on another video from 6, Dragon Ball related, and we have got Goku's character arc does not matter, and we're just going to get right into it.
You don't need to understand Goku. I guess me making a claim like that would sort of leave you thinking, well, yeah, of course, I don't need to. It's not a necessity that I understand this fictional character. And you'd be correct, but that's not exactly what I'm getting at here. I'm sort of getting at the idea that Goku doesn't fully need to be understood for Dragon Ball to make sense to you.
No, that's very true. It's very simplistic. Goku's character, like yeah.
Or to be enjoyable to you. Goku is one of the greatest main characters of all time, at least in my opinion, and I think that's largely due to how open to interpretation he is.
Right. Okay.
Which I'll elaborate a bit on in the actual video.
Yeah, because we don't get too much into him. Like, he doesn't express a lot of like his inner workings and that. It's literally just like fights and the way he reacts to them and stuff.
Before we begin, I'd like to ask if you could leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel, as I really appreciate it. It should be no secret at this point that Funimation took a lot of liberties with the English dub of Dragon Ball, and they
Like I remember when Geekdom, when I used to watch some of his videos like on there, the translations would be so different. Like the Frieza speech especially was like, it made Goku to seem like a superhero, but in the Japanese version it just was not the case.
changed a lot from the source material, but even with that, Goku is still extremely likable in the English dub. In fact, when most people think of Goku over here in America at least, the dub voice is probably the voice that you hear in your head.
Yeah.
But being honest, it's going to be almost impossible for you to actually understand the character of Goku if you only watch Dragon Ball Z's English dub. But that's kind of exactly my point here. He didn't need to be understood for the majority of audiences to latch on to and love his character for more than 20 years here in the United States. Understanding Goku normally only pushes people further into enjoying him rather than needing that understanding for Goku to be loved. He differs from most other popular characters today in that aspect. Every kid worldwide tried to go Super Saiyan at some point.
Yeah, we did.
Every grandmother, grandfather, father, and mother across America bought a Goku toy for their grandkid or kid.
I
And
got
everybody respects.
It's a Funko Pop. I've got so many Goku Funko Pops downstairs. Oh my god. I really do need to do a video on my Funko Pop collection, man.
Goku for who he is and what he does, even though none of us can really relate to him. We don't train in gravity machines, we don't fight aliens, we aren't from another planet, and most of us don't have the power to be as free as Goku is.
True.
But that doesn't matter, because when Goku starts going Super Saiyan 3, everybody gets hype about it.
Hell
A big
yes.
portion of why I wanted to make this video is because of this widespread acceptance of some fairly condescending logic. I'm probably even responsible for doing this at some point in the past, but that doesn't matter because of how I feel about it now. It's the idea that whatever someone doesn't like, or whoever they don't like, they just simply don't understand that concept or character. I do for the most part agree that there are unjustified or unnecessary reasons that some people hate or don't like something. And I also understand that for someone to not like your favorite character or favorite scene in a show, that a reason that they may not like it would be to the fact that they don't understand it. That doesn't, however, make it a valid reason to not consider people maybe just not liking something for what it is. Take, for example, Sakura. Everyone will swear up and
Yeah. I was seeing a comment on how they thought it was funny. They thought it would have been funny if instead of Shikamaru being made Hokage after the time skip in Boruto, if Sakura was, just to see people, because people just want to hate on Sakura all the time for like no reason, man. I mean, this moment, yeah, what a bitch, but
down that you just don't understand Sakura and her decisions if you don't like her. But that's not entirely true. You can probably bring up tons of good things Sakura has done in comparison to the minimal bad things, but that doesn't matter since Sakura just generally isn't liked.
yeah.
She's lacking in character for the amount of screen time she has, and she's a lot less entertaining to watch than the other people on her team.
Yep.
And to be fair, her team does consist of Naruto, Sasuke, and Kakashi,
Yeah,
but she's
mate.
still less entertaining than any of them. It makes it harder for us to form a connection to her and thus to forgive any context that may make a scene okay or not that bad in comparison to some other things she did. Vegeta may be a mass murderer, but he's also really cool when he's fighting.
He's a mass murderer, but he's also really, really cool.
Is Sakura?
Yeah.
No,
No.
not for
No,
most
not at
people.
all.
And not being consistent in your standards for every character or person is just human. Everyone has their biases. Let me give you an example. It may be really cool seeing Trunks use a sword to cut up Frieza, but if Bulma was to do the same thing, would you think that was all that cool? No, probably not. The
that'd be
series
weird.
establishes Bulma as extremely weak and a normal human. If
Yeah.
she was to randomly be Frieza level, everyone would call it a plot hole or contrived.
Yeah, it'd be like, that came out of nowhere. What a load of bullshit.
The reason I use the action of Trunks cutting up Frieza in this example rather than a decision is because the decision is what most people use whenever they're using this type of condescending logic. They use decision making and narrative in order to drive their point home that you don't understand, and that's why you don't like something. I used an action because while it may be an old saying, I truly do believe that actions speak louder than words.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, enough rambling about that. I think I've made myself pretty clear on that stuff. Let's talk about the understanding of Goku, or I guess the fact that you don't need to. I'm going to take a look at a lot of Goku's more iconic moments and try to explain why understanding isn't really important but only serves to bolster these moments. Let's do a little bit more elaboration before we get into specific moments. My first point is that the large majority of Dragon Ball fans have not seen the first part of the story.
That's very true. Everyone jumps into Z. I am one of those people. I only know about stuff that, God, I was eating spicy crisps before, and now, Jesus. Oh, I only know what happens in Dragon Ball because of watching Totally Not Mark's reviews. So obviously I've not experienced it myself, like the emotional key points and all that, but I do know what happens pretty much within the story. But yeah, everyone does seem to just start with Z, and we don't care that we missed a big chunk of the story because it just opens up so cool with like, this guy from space is here and there's a green guy as well, and then they're both fighting him.
Starts with Z, so you miss out on a large chunk of Goku's character development that he gets and basically start in the middle of his story. A common argument that you may have heard when searching for Goku's character or trying to understand it better is that Goku is a flat character. This comes from the argument that there are virtually only 3 types of character arcs. There are positive character arcs in which a character goes from bad to good.
I do want to say for this, I didn't fully explain why this 3 character arcs argument is bad, but that's for another video. I just wanted to move on. Okay.
Negative character arcs in which a character goes from good to bad, and then flat character arcs where characters don't really change throughout the story. They instead change the people around them and affect
everything
the
else
world around them.
is
While I
affected
do
by
agree,
them, yeah.
Goku very much so changes the world around him and he greatly affects the people in his lives. I don't think that's mutually exclusive to Goku having great character development as well. But what does it say about a character if the majority of the people who love and enjoy that character can skip halfway into his story and still love and respect him as if they've seen his whole life? Granted, to Dragon Ball Z's credit, and especially the anime here, I do think that they do a good enough job recapping the major events in Goku's childhood to give people a general understanding of what he went through, but obviously that's not going to be comparable to actually watching the original Dragon Ball anime or reading the first 194 chapters of the manga.
194 chapters
But
as well.
despite
That's a lot,
Goku's
that.
childhood and what happened in it, did anybody watch Goku throw a Senzu Bean at Cell and think, wow, that was the right move? Did anyone watch Goku
Excuse me, sorry. Oh.
let Gohan fight and think that he was doing the right thing
no.
at the time?
No.
Nobody
No.
watched those moments and thought Goku was genuinely doing the right thing. We all knew that, but Goku had to learn it.
Yeah.
Goku agrees with us. Goku agrees that he
Yeah, when he
shouldn't
realizes,
have
he's
had
like, oh
things
God,
happen
no,
this
what have I
way.
done?
He says it on 2 separate occasions. When the Cell Juniors are beating up the Z Fighters, he says he just didn't see it turning out this way. And when they tell Goku that this isn't what Gohan wants, he starts to regret it. He starts to want to take a Senzu Bean in order to fight Cell again. And at the end of the arc, Goku literally sacrifices his life
Yeah, he does.
for that mistake that he made. Now, it's not like Goku thought, oh, I gave Cell a Senzu Bean and made
Excuse me.
Gohan fight, now I have to sacrifice myself. It's more like the predicament that everyone is in right now is because Goku, be it stupid or naive, made the wrong call
Yeah, he
in
did,
sending Gohan down to fight Cell. Even when Gohan awakened and used his Super Saiyan 2 power that Goku was banking on, he didn't finish off Cell because he's not the type of fighter that Goku is. Where Goku would have finished off Cell and not let him get desperate enough to the point he felt like he had to
Another word
blow
for
up the planet.
coward.
Gohan was not and wanted to let Cell suffer. But despite that, despite Gohan's power, despite Gohan not finishing off Cell, despite everyone lecturing Goku, you know that handing Cell the Senzu Bean was the wrong move.
Yeah.
And that Goku sacrificing himself was the right move.
Yeah,
And you don't
kinda
need to
making up for it.
understand anything about Goku's character to get that likable change he made in such a short period of time. Even though Goku's solution to the problem wasn't perfect because he ended up killing King Kai and Bubbles,
Yeah.
it's still better than letting the earth blow up in general. Let me bring up another example. When Goku intercepts Boo and Babidi on their way to West City, what's the big takeaway from that interaction that everyone likes to talk about?
Super Saiyan 3.
Is the fact that Goku pulled out Super Saiyan 3.
Yeah.
Because when Goku pulled out Super Saiyan
cool.
3, he completely stole the show. But there's another thing in there that a lot of people tend to just skip over. And that's how Goku planted the seeds for Babidi's demise. It's no secret that Boo and Babidi had a pretty strained relationship. Babidi never fully got to control Boo the way his father seemed to be able to, at least according to Supreme Kai. So they never really seemed to get along, and Boo would really only respond to Babidi and his commands under the idea that Babidi could seal him away if he needed to. Goku tells Babidi and Boo that he's going to have to stall them. Babidi tells Boo to show Goku his terrible powers, and Boo just starts humming, which Goku takes notice of. Goku's next move is to try and manipulate Boo by saying, "You're that strong, but you let him order you around?" This clearly makes Boo think, as there's an ellipsis or these 3 dots next to his head in the next panel. Babidi responds to Goku for Boo saying,
These are different translations, by the way. In Viz, there is 3 dots next to his head, lol. Oh, right, okay, so the way what he's showing is different to what he's actually talking about, okay.
"Shut up, Boo's my servant, of course he does what I say." This also makes Boo think as he gets another ellipsis and starts to look at Babidi. And when Babidi threatens to seal Boo away, Boo says, "Seal me," and he kills you. Babidi then thinks that Boo is starting to get too smart too fast, but Boo says he's still gonna kill Goku because he hates good guys. Goku says, guess I have no choice. This to me indicates that Goku was not intending on fighting Boo and was instead trying to get him to turn on Babidi in that moment. Although this doesn't work and Goku eventually has to go Super Saiyan 3 to fight Boo, and although he never directly attacks Babidi, with one question, he sealed Babidi's fate. As soon as Boo thinks and understands that Babidi needs him, but he doesn't need Babidi, Babidi was done for. That's another good thing about him intercepting Babidi and Boo. Even though this wasn't the smartest plan and Goku probably should have just instant transmission to West City and then back to the lookout instead of going through all of this, him doing it effectively got rid of Babidi, effectively leaving the door open for Boo to get another partner in Hercule, who obviously at the end of the arc ends up helping them save the world. Obviously that's not something Goku could know or would know was going to happen in the future, but it's another thing that even though some of you probably didn't think of the scene in that way because of Super Saiyan 3, Goku still came out of that scene looking cool to you because Super Saiyan 3 happened. For my last point, I want to talk about Goku and Frieza. Now, if you only watch the English dub of Dragon Ball or you only watch the sub of Dragon Ball Z, you would never be able to pick up on this implication, and that's because it simply couldn't be or never was animated. I've mentioned this before also, but the softer speaking characters in Dragon Ball, or the less intense or less evil characters, tend to be drawn with these more rounded speech bubbles, but the evil characters and more intense characters are drawn speaking with these more angular speech bubbles. This change in speech bubbles is present in Goku whenever he goes from base to Super Saiyan against Frieza on Namek. It marks a pretty distinct change in Goku's character that, like I said, if you're only watching the anime, you just simply couldn't get. Now, if you're watching the anime, you probably did see that Goku changed in character whenever he unlocked Super Saiyan. That's not what I'm getting at. I'm getting at the visual aid of the speech bubbles changing as well, you couldn't get. But that was fine for everyone. You don't need that visual aid in showing that Goku's character changed because it's very apparent. He's now yelling at Gohan to just do what he says, which Goku never does. His hair turned golden. He's starting to beat on Frieza. You could see that he was very visibly angry before he went into the transformation. Super Saiyan has been being talked about throughout the entire arc. And up to this point,
we
you don't
understand
even really know what a
going
Super
on.
Saiyan looks like. You just know that Super Saiyan exists. Vegeta's been bringing it up, saying he's the Super Saiyan. Then he said Goku's the Super Saiyan, and this is the thing. You know that this is Super Saiyan, and that Goku isn't the same as he was a few minutes ago, likely due to this transformation.
Yeah, it's not too complex. Like, we understand Goku, we get it, and yeah. Interesting. 6 videos are always a good look into stuff you don't really think about. Awesome. Thank you to my patrons. If you want to have your name at the end of every video I upload, link in the description to the Patreon page. $1 a month size special. That's greatly appreciated. Thank you for that. Thank you all for watching. What do you guys think of that? What do you guys think of this? Click like, subscribe, haven't really, leave comments below. Let me know what I should watch to discuss some future videos. See you guys next time.